I'll go first so Brandon can cue up the B-roll.
Ooh.
But one game I saw this week that I was pleasantly surprised with, and actually I had quite a few of those moments. Games that I didn't know whether I would care about or not. But is Battle Chasers Nightwar.
Yeah, you walked up to me and like specifically said, "Hey, this is super cool and worth paying attention to."
Yeah, so this is I didn't even realize this. I guess Battle Chasers is a comic, and it's Joe Madeira, who also did the art for the Darksiders games, and that style here I think comes through so much better than it ever did in Darksiders. I feel like there's just so much more detail and richness in the game, and then the characters, they all like all of their items and stuff are also like interchangeable. So like you actually physically see the weapons on the characters, and there's this one girl that has like, you know, what I saw originally with was like these big boxing gloves, and then I saw another shot where she had just, you know, like more typical gauntlets. And so it's nice to have that much detail in there. But basically what it is they refer to it as a JRPG, which I thought is funny because it's, you know, obviously not Japanese developers. It's THQ Nordic that's publishing. But still, you know, it gives you a feel for kind of what it is. So, you know, you've got an overworld map, you've got dungeons, which are randomly generated. And then you have turn-based battles with, you know, your line of guys on this side and the line of enemies on the other side. One of the things that I found really interesting about the combat system is, from what I can tell, at least in the demo where we were at in the game, is that there was never an option that just said fight. Like they had like direct attacks of various kinds, and then they had abilities of various kinds, and then they had like their burst moves.
Are you selecting these commands from a menu?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was never just a simple fight. Like there's, you know, all of these different types of strikes with various advantages. So you could go for, you know, a more straightforward attack, or you could go for like a stab that does some bleeding damage, or different types of slashes based on the characters. And then what you have, so they have kind of like a limit break-ish kind of thing that they called like burst, I believe. And there's 3 tiers. I never was patient enough to like let it go all the way up to 3 to see if there were differences. I don't know if that's just, you know, the amount of bursts you can do, or if they like stack into more powerful attacks. But the burst meter is shared by all 3 of your characters. So that actually became part of the strategy where, you know, like in a lot of these demos, the developers will try to guide you to doing certain things.
Yes.
And he was telling me, he's like, oh, you can use your burst now. I was like, yeah, I know. I'm going to wait for the next character to use it, because the next character, his burst is going to heal all of my party, and I really need that healing right now. So I'm not going to waste it on, like, you know, an attack and then be struggling. Yeah, and I was actually pleasantly surprised, too, that the boss fight that they had in the demo did put up a good challenge, which, you know, a lot of demos don't. They just, you know, put everything on easy mode for you.
Right. Basically, anything you do, you're going to be successful.
Yeah. And the boss itself had a burst. So I find that interesting as well, to see if there's, you know, I don't know if there'll be any ways to mitigate it or not, but it's something you have to be prepared for, because depending on the boss, like that could be something that would just wipe you out.
Was the boss burst just a lot of damage that you had to prepare for?
No, actually what the boss did, so when the fight started, there was the boss, and then it had 2 ads on the sides. And when it did its burst, it sacrificed its ads to completely refill its health and buff itself.
Okay. So the idea was you want to kill those ads so the boss doesn't have that available to do.
Right.
Okay. Interesting. I like that.
Yeah. And then they have a pretty clear initiative list on the top left.
Sure.
And then your abilities kind of work like old Final Fantasy spells, so that, you know, when you pick an ability like a healing or like a, you know, some other kind of spell, you don't just do that immediately. It goes into the initiative list, and you have to wait for them to finish casting that, basically.
Cool.
I should say what we're discussing.
I didn't. I didn't see a whole lot of like the dungeon layouts themselves, but you could see the enemies on the screen so that you could avoid them. They did have kind of Tales-ish dialogue scenes that popped in when you're walking around.
Was it like a prompt, like, hey, this conversation is available now in the exact same way that it is with Tales?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I can't remember if they were avoidable or not, but yeah, they definitely like just the characters came in over top of the dungeon map. I think they were. I think different party members have different dungeon skills that can be used there that let them maybe find secrets more easily and things like that.
Any indication of... So how many people do you have in your party at any given time?
There were 3 people in the party. And what is really nice is that they were different sizes. Like so what I was was explaining with Battle Chase is that your party members are not like all just like the same size sprite or whatever or model. So there's the guy and the girl were similar strengths, but then there was also like this big kind of like golem like creature that was easily twice the size of both of them. So that was pretty nice to see that. Trying to think what else there was. You
mentioned that your different teammates have different strikes that have different effects on the enemy. Is there any incentive to kind of mix and match those? Like, if somebody does a specific strike, can somebody else capitalize on that and do something else? Sort of like a break, topple, daze system from Xenoblade, anything like that?
I didn't see anything specifically along those lines, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
Because, like I said, everyone had at least 2 options there, and I think, it's all 3 pretty frequently. And then I guess the only other thing is that the overworld looks like pretty cool. It looks like a storybook illustration, slightly different art style, a little bit more simplified.
Gotcha.
But it's a nice looking game, and so it's coming out on pretty much everything. I think just a few months, like October 3rd. Yeah. So Xbox, PS4, PC, and Switch. And so now I'm just kind of like on that edge of like, do I want PC for like the max crispness of that art, or do I want it on Switch so I can take it with me? Because I really like turn-based RPGs now.
This feels like a dynamite Switch game. I played this at Judges Week and I didn't think about it, but like, oh boy. Especially since it looked like it looked at a really good pace of like, and now I'm moving on to the next step, and now I'm gonna get in this dungeon and try this. It wasn't like I just got lost and couldn't get to a stopping point. Like, because of the menu, how you move to different locations, how you like get a sense of how long the dungeons are, and just the casualness of just kicking back with a handheld device and playing a turn-based role-playing game is like, three people. How common is that in turn-based, Ben? Like just 3 people in a party?
It's not that uncommon.
It's not that uncommon. I would say 3, 4 average. Okay. Yeah. Rarely do you get more than 4, I feel like.
A couple Final Fantasies here.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 4 had 5, but yeah, I can't think of many.
I think we should start a petition. That's what I think we should do. Easy Allies.
To get 5?
No, to get every JRPG on Switch.
From
From here until the end of that console's life, every JRPG comes out.
Well, speaking of JRPGs...